What is the most hilariously incorrect thing a teacher told your class? If a bug was in an airplane, it would not be able to fly forward because it could not fly faster than the plane was moving. Computer teacher told us if you use cut on an image on a website that it will be removed from the website and will upset the website maker, so be sure to use copy. My grade 6 teacher told me that fatigued was in fact not a word when I used it in a short story and insisted that I looked in the dictionary. Found it in the dictionary in about 2 minutes and proved her wrong in front of the whole class. When I was in kindergarten, our homework assignment was to ask our parents what country they were from so the teacher could show us on the globe where it was. Younger me was so excited. I went home and asked my mom where she was born and she told me her family was from Malaysia. All day I practiced and practiced. I couldn't wait to share this info with my teacher. When I went to school the next day, I told my teacher that my mom is from Malaysia. With a look of utter disappointment, my teacher informed me that Malaysia was not a country, and I needed to ask my mom again. I was crushed that my mom would lie to me like that. Or that she was wrong. Either way, little me cried to her and told her that my teacher said Malaysia is not a country. So mama was not happy that I was told this and came with me to school the next day to give the teacher a piece of her mind. To this day I've never seen my mother get so red in the face while yelling at my teacher. After she was through, I quickly got an apology and a geography lesson on where Malaysia was. When transferring schools. Teacher, so you're from Mexico? Me, no, I'm from New Mexico. Teacher, got it, so you're Mexican. Was the student visa program difficult? Me, no visa needed. I'm from New Mexico, it's between Texas and Arizona. Teacher, did you live near cartels? This was an American history class in high school. I was once told in a religious studies class that black people are God's mistake. She was fired not long after. Edit, she wasn't Mormon, it was a Jewish studies class and she was Jewish. Also, as a proud Jew, I feel like I should point out that this is very much not the view of Judaism or of most Jews. She was just a bit insane. Also, I don't believe this stemmed from an underlying belief that God can make mistakes, but just a lack of understanding of Judaism and of common sense. I grew up in England but did part of my high school in the US. One of the teachers there organized a thing where we were volunteered to read stories to elementary school kids. After reading my story, I guess the teacher felt the need to make note of my accent to the class. She asked me to tell the kids where I was from. I said I'm from England and she did that thing teachers do where she repeats the info to the kids but she says, "Did you hear that, kids? She's from England, that's in London." I tried a little bit of a correction actually, "I'm from England." And she just repeats to the kids, "Yes kids, England, that's in London." I was too shy at that age to call her out on it, but it still makes me cringe to this day. My college sociology teacher said that criminality is genetic, and that if one or both of your parents are criminals, so will you be, regardless of environmental factors. Was really pleased with himself because he thought nobody could prove him wrong. Informed him that I was adopted at birth because my biological father was in prison and my mother couldn't support me, and I had never committed any crime. I wouldn't even drink underage. He got flustered and angry and said, "You haven't yet, but you will." Joke's on him. I'm a good boy. That dogs evolved longer faces so they could smell things around corners. We got taught in science that our tongues have different areas of taste. Had to do an experiment where we put a sugar cube or lemon on different parts of the tongue, etc. Supposedly we had a sour area, a sweet area and so on. So putting lemon on the sweet part of your tongue would mean it wouldn't taste sour, bitter. Well, I spent that whole experiment thinking it didn't matter where I put it, all tasted the same. I said that and the teacher looked at me like I was being purposefully disruptive. The rest of the class said it worked. I figured something was wrong with my tongue. Years later I heard they debunked that theory. Deoxygenated blood is blue. Oxygenated blood is red. That's why your veins look blue, but if you draw blood it is red. I don't know how many people thought this was true, but I swear I heard it multiple times from several teachers during elementary school. My economics teacher said that simple interest and compound interest were the same thing. I spoke up about it in class and she took me into the hallway and told me not to disagree with her again. First I thought about how a nun that was teaching religion in my first grade said that if you put your hands to prayer facing downward you will go to hell, and if upwards you will go to heaven. But then I thought, who am I to say she was wrong? One of my first teachers told the class that the sea is blue because it's a reflection of the sky. That same teacher, later in the year, told the same class that the sky was blue because it was a reflection of the sea. We lived on land, the sky should be green or brown, the sea, being only a reflection of a reflection, should be copying that green or brown. I pointed this out, began to present the correct answer, and was promptly sent out of the room for being disruptive. Mrs. Stanford in my 8th grade history class told us that people invented sleep because they were bored. It was a test question, too. I told my mother about it and my mother actually called the principal's office to talk to him about it. The lady was actually teaching kids that crap. There's a big difference between us falling asleep when we're bored and us inventing sleep because we were bored. When I got in trouble for laughing in class because a friend was being funny and making me laugh, she said, "No one can make you laugh." I wanted to ask her how comedians got a large group of people to choose to laugh at the same time, but I didn't because I knew there was no use arguing with fools. When rounding numbers, if the last digit is odd you round down and if it is even you round up. I'll start. A teacher of mine told us that the left side of your body your feminine side, the right side is your masculine side. That's why your skin is better on your left, your right is stronger, etc. God, what the hell? 7 billion people died in World War II, 200 million Russians included. Glaciers don't move, they melt and refreeze. She was an earth science teacher. Once a horse closes its mouth, its jaw locks and it is literally impossible for a human to open its mouth again. I lost it. I work and lived around horses my entire life. All you do is put your finger in the side of the horse's mouth where they have no teeth and voila. They open their mouth. Like, how do you think a bit is put in their mouth, stupid English teacher? She told this fact to our class when she told a story about her friend getting her hand broken trying to feed a horse and the horse got her hand stuck in its mouth. That a Big Mac from McDonald's overwhelms your stomach with so much of everything that it doesn't register you've eaten anything, and that's why you get hungry again so quickly after. My science teacher freshman year told us there was air in space. She also told us that that's how rockets are able to fly. The fire behind them burns air in space to push them forward. My grade 6 teacher told me that fatigued was in fact not a word when I used it in a short story and insisted that I looked in the dictionary. Found it in the dictionary in about 2 minutes and proved her wrong in front of the whole class. Sound moves really fast, so distance doesn't matter. You can hear something just as well from across the room as if you were sitting next to the noisy thing, because it takes less than a second for the sound to reach you. In 7th grade, when we were studying the Holocaust, my teacher told me that the swastika was made when Hitler took the cross and broke its points to show the world he was above God. If you make more money you get taxed at a higher rate, so overall you lose money with a promotion. This was my economics teacher in high school. College sociology course professor put in one of her slides, "There are no biological factors that can explain why one disease is more prevalent in one race than the other. The only cause of this with supporting evidence is racism." The whole class was pretty dumbfounded. That dinosaurs are the product of the hubris of man. In the pursuit of a superior beast of burden, humans bred lizards with elephants to create dinosaurs. This is why God destroyed the earth with the flood, why dinosaurs were not on the ark, and why research in genetics is the devil. This was my science teacher. My 3rd grade teacher tried to fail me because I did a report on narwhals. The assignment was unusual animals. She claimed they didn't exist, and that I feel for a gag article in National Geographic. We eventually had to get the principal involved. This was neither the first, nor the last time she tried to fail me for something that was obscure but factually correct. She and I did not get along, and to this day I still can't figure out how she had a master's degree. That plants don't move. 7th grade science class. I get what he meant, but I'd already watched flowers turn to find the sun, and Venus fly traps close, and tumbleweeds. Plants certainly don't amble about, but they definitely do move. My 9th grade earth science teacher told the class until 1970, if you miss 3 Sundays of church in a row, the preacher had the right to shoot you. He also said that people will believe a lie 10 times faster than they will believe the truth. I guess he was testing that theory. A bit niche, but my orchestra director said that he was contemplating playing Shostakovich's Romeo and Juliet next year. I paused, and told him that a lot of people wrote music for Romeo and Juliet, but Shostakovich wasn't one of them. He told me I was mistaken and that he knows it was written. My band director also said that Tchaikovsky composed Firebird, so there's that, too. Edit, I almost forgot that the band director before that said on stage that we would be performing Rachmaninoff's Festive Overture. I guess this is a common trend with my school or something. A math teacher told me that typing class was a waste of time. 20 years later, typing like a maniac savant helps pay my bills and I just about never need to produce a mathematical proof. College professor said the national language of Brazil is Spanish. I was pretty shy and quiet in college, but I piped, actually, it's Portuguese. Professor singled me out in front of the entire class that I was wrong and that she wouldn't take undergrad students seriously until they get a PhD and write their own books on the subject. Only then, she might take her students seriously. This was right after the orientation course where they tell you that college is a place for debate, questioning your professors, speaking in front of the entire class, and challenging authority. I'm allergic to cats, so one day I say to the entire class that I have an allergy to cat dander because technically their dander is what causes the reaction. The teacher, and consequently the class, erupts in laughter, saying cats don't have dandruff and cat hair is what I'm allergic to. I was just dumbfounded and sat down. But I kind of hope someday the teacher learned about dander, thought back to that time and felt really shitty about themselves. I had a biology teacher in high school who ridiculed me and called me a liar when I told her she and the book were wrong and that corn fungus was not poisonous and was actually a delicacy eaten in Mexico. It is called huitlacoche and is very good and tasty and very expensive since it only grows in certain types of corn under very specific conditions. I got pissed and wrote a whole report on the subject. When I tried to hand it over and asked to do a presentation, she called me a lying ignorant Mexican, because she knew Mexicans will eat anything including their dogs, so anything I said was an exaggeration and lie. This was Texas in the 90s, where we have a lot of Mexicans and some of the best Mexican food in the US. She sent me to the principal, because I was disruptive and taking up her class time with my bill sit. The principal took me back to class and stood there while I did my presentation. Gave me an A for the semester and excused me from ever going back to that class. In 1993 or 1994, my freshman social studies teacher showed stock footage of the 1970s oil crisis and told us that in 20 years, there would be no gasoline left. Here we are, 24 to 25 years later and there's still gasoline. That Tsarina was the first name of the wife of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and not her title. She understood that Tsar was Nicholas's title and not his name, but could not apply the same logic to Alexandra. She insisted that Tsarina was her given name, and no amount of arguing would change her mind. I'm still annoyed about this 20 years later. I moved to a very white rural town. I think less than 5% of the school was something other than white. Our English teacher was bragging about how she had been around Mexicans before, and was pretty good at knowing their words. She said this because we were reading a story about two Mexican boys in the city. She said she could explain anything to us if we had questions. Reading out loud, a kid got stuck on the word essay. She quickly interjected, "Oh, I think you pronounce it EC. I think they just made it up, like their own nickname. I am Mexican. It's pronounced like essay and it's equal to bro or man." The actual text read, "What's up, essay?" The worst part was it had an asterisk next to it, and said what it was off to the side. My sophomore English teacher tried telling the class wherefore art thou and Romeo and Juliet meant where are you and not why are you. I had already learned previously that it meant why are you Romeo as in why are you a Montague, and wherefore is just a false cognate for modern English, due to me moving schools and already learning the curriculum, and even doing a quick Google search, and when I brought it up she argued with me. It really pissed me off for no reason, but I think I was just more mad that she incorrectly taught one of the most famous lines in English literature to a class of 30 kids, and likely more.